My child, there is something I need you to understand today. Not everything that happens behind your back remains hidden forever. Not every secret conversation stays secret. Not every false story continues unchecked. Not every hidden motive remains concealed. Because there is a truth that many people forget. Nothing is hidden from me. Nothing. I see every word, every action, every intention, every conversation, every decision made when no one else is watching. And because I see everything, I know exactly what is happening in your life. My child, there have been moments when you felt confused. Moments when people suddenly changed toward you. Moments when opportunities disappeared without explanation. Moments when relationships became distant. Moments when doors closed unexpectedly. You searched for answers. You wondered what happened. You questioned yourself. You questioned your worth. You questioned whether you had done something wrong. But my child, sometimes the problem was never you. Sometimes there were things happening behind the scenes that you could not see. Conversations you never heard. Opinions formed without your knowledge. Stories shared that were incomplete. Assumptions made without understanding your heart. And while you were trying to understand what changed, hidden influences were already at work. My child, people often believe they can hide their intentions forever. They believe they can manipulate situations without consequences. They believe they can damage someone's reputation without accountability. They believe they can operate in darkness indefinitely. But darkness has one weakness: light. And when my light begins to shine, hidden things begin to appear. Truth begins to surface. Masks begin to fall. Motives begin to reveal themselves. And what was once concealed becomes impossible to ignore. My child, I know there were times when you felt isolated. Times when it seemed like nobody understood your side of the story. Times when people believed things about you that were never true. Times when misunderstandings created pain. And perhaps you wanted to defend yourself. Perhaps you wanted to explain everything. Perhaps you wanted everyone to understand. But sometimes I ask my children to remain patient. Not because the truth does not matter, but because truth has a way of revealing itself without endless arguments. Character has a way of revealing itself over time. Consistency has a way of exposing what is genuine and what is false. And time has a way of uncovering what people try to keep hidden. My child, what they did behind your back may have caused confusion. It may have caused disappointment. It may have caused delays. It may have caused heartache. But it did not cancel your purpose. It did not destroy your future. It did not remove my hand from your life. Because what I have planned for you is stronger than any hidden agenda, stronger than any rumor, stronger than any criticism, stronger than any secret effort made against you. My child, do not become consumed by discovering every detail. You do not need every piece of information. You do not need every explanation. You do not need to uncover every conversation. What you need is wisdom. What you need is discernment. What you need is peace. And I am giving you all three. Because the goal is not revenge. The goal is freedom. Freedom from confusion. Freedom from self-doubt. Freedom from carrying burdens that do not belong to you. My child, some people expected you to remain unaware. They expected you to continue doubting yourself. They expected you to stay trapped in uncertainty. But they underestimated what happens when I begin revealing truth. Because when I reveal truth, confusion loses its power. When I reveal truth, manipulation loses its influence. When I reveal truth, hidden motives become visible. And when hidden motives become visible, wisdom grows. My child, I am teaching you something important in this season. Not everyone who smiles is celebrating you. Not everyone who speaks kindly is loyal. Not everyone who appears supportive truly supports your future. This does not mean you should become suspicious of everyone. It means you should become wiser, more discerning, more attentive to patterns, more attentive to actions rather than words alone. Because actions reveal what words often hide. My child, what they did behind your back will not remain hidden forever. Truth is moving, light is shining, and clarity is coming. You may not see everything today. You may not understand everything tomorrow. But in the right time, the right pieces will come together. The right answers will appear. The right revelations will arrive. And when they do, you will understand why I allowed certain things to happen. You will understand what I was protecting you from. You will understand what I was teaching you. And you will understand why your future remains secure despite everything that happened behind the scenes. Trust me, my child. The truth is not your enemy. The truth is your freedom. And what is being exposed is preparing you for a future filled with greater wisdom, greater peace, and greater clarity. My child, there are things that happen behind the scenes that you were never meant to carry forever. There were conversations you never heard, opinions shared without your knowledge, assumptions made about your heart by people who never truly understood your journey. And for a long time, you wondered why certain situations felt different, why certain people suddenly became distant, why support disappeared, why attitudes changed, why things no longer felt the same. You searched for answers. You looked within yourself. You questioned your actions. You questioned your decisions. You questioned whether you had somehow caused the shift. But my child, there are moments when the answer is not found within you. The answer is found within the hidden motives of others. And that is why I am bringing clarity, not to fill your heart with anger, not to make you suspicious, not to cause division, but to bring understanding. Because understanding creates freedom. My child, hidden jealousy often works in silence. It rarely announces itself openly. It rarely says, "I am jealous." Instead, it disguises itself, sometimes as criticism, sometimes as discouragement, sometimes as subtle negativity, sometimes as support that disappears the moment you begin succeeding. And because jealousy hides so well, many people fail to recognize it until much later. My child, there were people who celebrated you when your dreams seemed small, but became uncomfortable when those dreams began growing. People who supported you when your success felt distant, but became uneasy when your success became possible. People who enjoyed advising you when you lacked confidence, but became unsettled when your confidence started returning. Not everyone, but some. And those reactions revealed more about their hearts than about your worth. My child, one of the reasons I allowed certain things to happen is because exposure requires time. Character reveals itself through patterns. Intentions reveal themselves through consistency. And motives reveal themselves through repeated choices. Had everything been exposed immediately, you might have missed the lesson. You might have ignored the warning signs. You might have defended the very people who were teaching you important truths about discernment. That is why I sometimes allow situations to unfold. Not because I enjoy your discomfort, but because wisdom is being formed. Discernment is being strengthened. Understanding is being developed. My child, there were conversations that happened without you. Conversations that influenced decisions. Conversations that shaped opinions. Conversations that created misunderstandings. Yet, even those conversations were not powerful enough to stop what I have planned for your life. Because people may influence circumstances, but they do not control destiny. People may delay opportunities, but they cannot cancel my purpose. People may create obstacles, but they cannot overcome my plans. My child, do not waste your future trying to investigate every detail of the past. Some answers will come. Some revelations will appear. Some truths will become obvious. But your greatest focus should not be on what they did. Your greatest focus should be on where I am leading you. Because your future deserves more attention than your wounds. Your purpose deserves more attention than your disappointments. And your calling deserves more attention than their opinions. My child, there is a reason the truth is beginning to surface now. The next season of your life requires greater wisdom, greater clarity, greater confidence, greater discernment. You cannot enter the next chapter carrying the same confusion from the last one. You cannot build healthy relationships while ignoring important lessons. You cannot walk confidently into your future while constantly doubting yourself. That is why I am bringing light into places where confusion once existed. My child, some people thought their actions would never be discovered. They thought their words would never matter. They thought their motives would remain hidden. But they forgot that nothing is hidden from me. Nothing escapes my sight. Nothing avoids my attention. And in the right time, truth rises. Always. Not because I seek to embarrass people, but because truth is necessary for growth. Truth is necessary for wisdom. Truth is necessary for freedom. My child, as these things come into the light, guard your heart carefully. Do not become bitter. Do not become consumed by revenge. Do not become trapped in resentment. Because bitterness keeps you connected to the very chapter 1 am trying to move you beyond. Instead, choose wisdom. Choose peace. Choose growth. Choose freedom. Because freedom is where I am leading you. My child, what they did behind your back will be exposed. Not every detail. Not every conversation. But everything you need to understand. Everything necessary for your protection. Everything necessary for your growth. Everything necessary for your future. And when the picture becomes clear, you will realize something powerful. What they intended to weaken you actually made you stronger. What they intended to confuse you actually taught you wisdom. What they intended to hide actually prepared you for the future. Trust me, the truth is moving closer. The answers are coming. And the wisdom you gain from this season will become one of the greatest gifts you carry into the next chapter of your life. My child, there is something they did not realize while they were speaking behind your back. There is something they failed to understand while they were making assumptions. There is something they overlooked while they were focusing on your weaknesses. They forgot who was walking with you. They forgot who was guiding you. They forgot who was protecting you. They forgot that I was involved in your story. And that was their greatest mistake. My child, people often believe they understand the entire situation when they only see a small portion of it. They see one chapter and assume they know the whole book. They see one struggle and assume they know your future. They see one setback and assume they know your destiny. But only I see the complete picture. Only I know where you started. Only I know what you have survived. Only I know the prayers you have prayed. Only I know the battles you have fought in silence. And only I know where I am leading you. My child, some people looked at your struggles and underestimated you. They saw moments of weakness, but they did not see the strength being developed. They saw delays, but they did not see the preparation. They saw obstacles, but they did not see the lessons. They saw the pressure, but they did not see the purpose. And because they could not see what I was doing behind the scenes, they made assumptions that were never true. My child, there were times when I protected you from information you were not ready to carry. You wanted answers. You wanted explanations. You wanted clarity. But if I had revealed everything immediately, it might have distracted you from your growth. It might have consumed your thoughts. It might have pulled your focus away from where I was leading you. So I allowed certain truths to remain hidden for a season. Not forever. Just long enough for wisdom to develop. Just long enough for discernment to grow. Just long enough for your heart to become stronger. My child, one day you will look back and realize that many things that felt like setbacks were actually protection. The opportunity that disappeared. The relationship that ended. The friendship that faded. The invitation that never came. The door that closed. You saw disappointment. I saw danger you could not see. You saw rejection. I saw redirection. You saw loss. I saw protection. Because my perspective reaches far beyond the moment. My child, there is a blessing waiting on the other side of this exposure. A blessing connected to clarity. A blessing connected to wisdom. A blessing connected to freedom. Because once confusion leaves, confidence begins to grow. Once truth arrives, better decisions become possible. Once understanding appears, your future becomes easier to navigate. That is why this season matters. This season is not just about exposure. It is about preparation. Preparation for healthier relationships. Preparation for better opportunities. Preparation for greater peace. Preparation for a stronger future. My child, some people thought they could shape your story through secret conversations. They thought they could influence your future through hidden motives. They thought they could control outcomes they were never meant to control. But they underestimated my power. Because what I have planned for you cannot be destroyed by someone's opinion. What I have planned for you cannot be canceled by someone's jealousy. What I have planned for you cannot be erased by hidden conversations. The purpose I have placed upon your life is stronger than all of those things. My child, stop measuring your future by what happened behind your back. Stop measuring your future by who disappointed you. Stop measuring your future by who misunderstood you. Those events are part of your story, but they are not the conclusion. They are not the destination. They are lessons along the way. And lessons are meant to teach you, not define you. My child, I know there were nights when you wanted answers. Nights when you replayed situations in your mind. Nights when you wondered why people acted the way they did. Nights when confusion felt overwhelming. But now the light is beginning to shine. The fog is beginning to lift. The pieces are beginning to connect. And soon you will see what I was protecting you from all along. You will see why certain things happened. You will see why certain people left. You will see why certain opportunities disappeared. And instead of regret, you will feel gratitude. Because what once felt painful will reveal its purpose. My child, they thought you would never know. They thought the truth would stay hidden. They thought confusion would remain. But the season is changing. The truth is rising. The answers are coming. And what is being revealed now is preparing you for one of the greatest breakthroughs of your journey. Trust me, you are not losing. You are learning. You are not being abandoned. You are being guided. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. And what I am preparing for you is far greater than anything they tried to take from you. My child, there are some truths that can only be understood after time has passed. While you were living through the situation, everything felt confusing. Nothing seemed clear. Nothing seemed obvious. You sensed something was wrong, but you could not fully explain it. You noticed changes, but you could not identify the cause. You felt distance, but you did not know where it began. And because you could not see the full picture, you blamed yourself for things that were never your responsibility. But now, my child, the truth is beginning to surface. And with that truth comes understanding. There were people around you who offered support with their words, but not with their hearts. People who applauded publicly but criticized privately. People who smiled in front of you while questioning you behind closed doors. People who encouraged you when your dreams seemed unlikely, but became uncomfortable when those dreams started becoming reality. My child, hidden jealousy often disguises itself as concern. It disguises itself as advice. It disguises itself as caution. It disguises itself as friendship. That is why it can be difficult to recognize. Because jealousy rarely announces itself openly. Instead, it quietly attempts to limit what it secretly fears. And what some people feared was your growth, your confidence, your healing, your progress, your future. Not because you were doing anything wrong, but because your growth highlighted areas of their own lives they were unwilling to address. My child, understand this clearly. Another person's discomfort with your growth is not your responsibility. Another person's jealousy is not your burden to carry. Another person's hidden motives do not define your worth. Your value comes from me. Your purpose comes from me. Your future comes from me. And no hidden conversation can change that. My child, some people only felt comfortable when you doubted yourself. Because self-doubt made you easier to influence, easier to control, easier to direct. But as you began trusting me more, as you began healing, as you began gaining confidence, as you began recognizing your value, the relationship changed. Not because you became arrogant, not because you became selfish, but because growth changes dynamics. Growth reveals motives. Growth exposes intentions. And growth often makes hidden things visible. My child, there were moments when certain people expected you to fail. Not necessarily because they hated you, but because your success challenged the story they had created about you. Your progress challenged their assumptions. Your breakthrough challenged their expectations. And instead of celebrating what I was doing in your life, they struggled with it. Do not become angry. Simply learn. Simply observe. Simply grow wiser. Because wisdom is one of the greatest blessings that can come from exposure. My child, the truth being revealed is not just about what they did. It is about what I protected you from. You may have thought a closed door was a loss, but often it was protection. You may have thought a broken relationship was a tragedy, but often it was redirection. You may have thought a disappointment was a setback, but often it was preparation. Because I can see dangers you cannot see. I can see motives you cannot see. I can see outcomes you cannot see. And my protection often appears in forms you do not immediately recognize. My child, there is an unexpected breakthrough approaching. Not because everyone suddenly changes. Not because every person apologizes. Not because every secret becomes public. But because clarity changes everything. When confusion leaves, confidence returns. When truth arrives, fear loses power. When understanding grows, wise decisions become possible. And wise decisions create new opportunities. My child, there are blessings waiting ahead that require the wisdom you are gaining now. There are relationships waiting ahead that require the discernment you are developing now. There are opportunities waiting ahead that require the confidence you are rebuilding now. Nothing is being wasted. Not the tears. Not the disappointment. Not the confusion. Not the delay. Not the exposure. I am using all of it. Every lesson. Every revelation. Every challenge. Every moment. I am weaving it together into preparation for your next chapter. My child, the people who spoke behind your back believed they were affecting your future, but they never understood something important. Your future is not in their hands. It never was. Your future is in my hands. And my plans are stronger than their opinions. My purpose is greater than their assumptions. My calling on your life is bigger than their conversations. That is why you do not need to fear what has been revealed. You do not need to fear what is coming into the light. Because the truth is not arriving to destroy you. It is arriving to free you. And freedom is opening the door to the breakthrough that is coming. My child, what they did behind your back will be exposed. And when it is, you will not simply gain answers. You will gain wisdom. You will gain clarity. You will gain discernment. And those gifts will help carry you into a future that is far greater than the chapter you are leaving behind. Trust me, the breakthrough is closer than you think. My child, there is something they never expected, something they never planned for, something they never considered. While they were focusing on what they could control, they forgot about the one they could not control. They forgot about me. They forgot that I see what happens in secret. They forgot that I understand every motive. They forgot that I know every intention before a word is ever spoken. And because they forgot about me, they made a mistake that would eventually change everything. My child, their greatest mistake was believing that your future depended on their opinion. They believed their approval determined your success. They believed their influence determined your opportunities. They believed their conversations determined your destiny. But destiny does not belong to people. Destiny belongs to me. And what I have spoken over your life cannot be erased by human opinion. What I have prepared for you cannot be canceled by hidden agendas. What I have planned for you cannot be destroyed by secret conversations. Because my purpose is greater than their plans. My child, there were moments when it felt like people had power over your future. Moments when their decisions seemed to affect your path. Moments when their words appeared to carry weight. And while those moments were real, they were never final. Because no human being has the final word over a life that I am directing. No human being. Not the critic. Not the doubter. Not the person who misunderstood you. Not the person who worked against you. Not the person who spoke behind your back. Their voices may have been loud, but my voice is greater. My child, many people think exposure is the greatest form of justice. But often the greatest form of justice is something entirely different. It is watching the person they tried to stop continue moving forward. It is watching the person they underestimated become stronger. It is watching the person they doubted step into purpose. It is watching the person they spoke against experience growth they never expected. Because success built on wisdom speaks louder than arguments. Peace speaks louder than revenge. Purpose speaks louder than criticism. And that is where I am leading you. My child, there is a divine reversal beginning. What once caused confusion is creating clarity. What once caused pain is creating wisdom. What once caused insecurity is creating confidence. What once caused fear is creating discernment. The very things that seem to work against you are becoming part of the foundation beneath you. Because I have a way of turning lessons into strength. I have a way of turning setbacks into preparation. I have a way of turning disappointments into direction. And I am doing that right now. My child, stop looking at yourself through the eyes of those who misunderstood you. Stop measuring your worth through the opinions of people who never fully knew your heart. Stop allowing old criticism to define your future. Those voices do not determine who you are. I determine who you are. And I say you are stronger than you think, wiser than you realize, more capable than you believe, and more prepared than you know. My child, there is a blessing closer than you realize. A blessing that has been developing behind the scenes. A blessing connected to the lessons you have learned. A blessing connected to the wisdom you have gained. A blessing connected to the growth that has taken place within you. Because blessings often arrive after preparation. And preparation is exactly what this season has been about. You thought you were only surviving, but you were also growing. You thought you were only enduring, but you were also learning. You thought you were only waiting, but you were also being prepared. My child, one day you will look back and realize that exposure was not the destination. It was the doorway. The doorway to greater wisdom. The doorway to healthier relationships. The doorway to stronger boundaries. The doorway to deeper peace. The doorway to a future that requires a more discerning version of you. And that version of you is emerging right now. My child, there are people who thought they were writing the ending of your story, but they were only reading a chapter. I am the author of your story, and the ending belongs to me. Not to them, not to their opinions, not to their assumptions, not to their hidden conversations. The ending belongs to me, and my endings are filled with purpose, filled with growth, filled with wisdom, filled with redemption, filled with hope. My child, what they did behind your back will be exposed. Not because exposure itself is the blessing, but because truth clears the path for what comes next. Truth removes confusion. Truth strengthens discernment. Truth restores confidence. And confidence helps you step into the future I have prepared. Trust me, the reversal has already begun. The breakthrough is already forming. The blessing is already moving closer. And soon you will understand why I allowed every lesson, every delay, and every revelation along the way. Because what I am bringing into your life is greater than anything they try to take from it. My child, there is one final truth I need you to understand. A truth that changes everything. A truth that many people never fully learn. A truth that has the power to free your heart completely. The people who spoke behind your back. The people who misunderstood you. The people who questioned you. The people who doubted you were never the greatest obstacle in your life. Fear was. Self-doubt was. Confusion was. The belief that you were not enough was. The belief that your future depended on the approval of others was. And now those chains are breaking. My child, for a long time you searched for answers outside yourself. You searched for explanations. You searched for closure. You searched for validation. You searched for understanding. You believed that if you could just uncover every hidden conversation, everything would finally make sense. But my child, complete freedom was never going to come from discovering every secret. Complete freedom comes when you realize that your value was never determined by those secrets in the first place. Your value does not rise when people praise you, and your value does not fall when people criticize you. Your worth was established long before their opinions ever existed. Your worth was established by me, and what I establish cannot be undone by human judgment. My child, there were seasons when you felt invisible, seasons when you felt overlooked, seasons when you felt misunderstood, seasons when it seemed like people were believing stories that were never true. And in those moments, you wondered if the truth would ever come out. You wondered if anyone would ever understand. You wondered if justice would ever arrive. But I want you to hear this carefully. Justice is not always everyone discovering what happened. Sometimes justice is watching your life continue to flourish despite what happened. Sometimes justice is watching peace return to your heart. Sometimes justice is watching wisdom emerge from pain. Sometimes justice is watching purpose grow from disappointment. And that is exactly what I am doing in your life. My child, there is a blessing approaching that you cannot fully see yet. Not because I am hiding it from you, but because it is still being prepared. It is forming behind the scenes. Just as certain conversations happen behind your back. Just as certain plans were made without your knowledge. I have also been working behind the scenes. Preparing opportunities. Preparing connections. Preparing breakthroughs. Preparing answers. Preparing blessings. And my plans are far greater than the plans that were made against you. My child, the people who tried to limit you only saw your current situation. I see your future. They saw temporary circumstances. I see eternal possibilities. They saw what was happening around you. I saw what I was building within you. And what I have built within you is stronger than what happened around you. You have become wiser. You have become stronger. You have become more discerning. You have become more resilient. You have become more aware of who deserves access to your heart. Those lessons are priceless. Those lessons will protect your future. Those lessons will help you recognize genuine relationships when they arrive. Those lessons will help you avoid old patterns. Those lessons will help you walk with greater confidence. My child, one day the truth will no longer matter as much as it does right now. Not because the truth is unimportant, but because your future will become more important than your past. Your purpose will become more important than your wounds. Your peace will become more important than old disappointments. Your calling will become more important than old conversations. And when that happens, you will realize how far you have come. You will realize that what once kept you awake at night no longer controls your thoughts. You will realize that what once caused pain no longer has power over your emotions. You will realize that the chapter you thought would define you was only preparing you. My child, stop looking backward so often. The answers you need are coming. The truth you need is being revealed. The wisdom you need is growing. But your future is waiting. Do not allow yesterday to steal the opportunities of tomorrow. Do not allow old wounds to prevent new blessings. Do not allow past disappointments to blind you to future possibilities. Because there are beautiful things ahead. People who will appreciate your presence. Opportunities that align with your purpose. Doors that no one can close. Blessings that no one can take away. Peace that no one can steal. And joy that no hidden conversation can diminish. My child, what they did behind your back will be exposed. But exposure is not the greatest miracle. The greatest miracle is what I have done within you. The strength, the wisdom, the maturity, the discernment, the faith, the resilience. Those are the treasures this season produced. And those treasures will serve you for the rest of your life. My child, trust me now more than ever. Trust me with the unanswered questions. Trust me with the hidden details. Trust me with the things you still do not understand. Because I am leading you somewhere better, somewhere healthier, somewhere stronger, somewhere filled with greater peace. And when you finally arrive there, you will understand why I allowed every lesson along the way. You will understand why the truth had to come in stages. You will understand why the waiting was necessary. And you will understand why I never stopped working on your behalf. For I have been guiding you all along. And the best part of your story is still being written. My child, there is a breakthrough approaching that you cannot fully see yet. Not because it is far away, but because it is already moving toward you. Many people imagine breakthrough as a single moment. One phone call, one opportunity, one conversation, one sudden answer. And sometimes breakthrough arrives that way. But often breakthrough begins long before it becomes visible. It begins when your thinking changes. It begins when your confidence returns. It begins when your heart starts healing. It begins when you stop allowing old wounds to control new decisions. And my child, that process has already started within you. You are not the same person you were when this season began. You have learned too much. You have survived too much. You have grown too much. You have matured too much. The person who once doubted every decision is changing. The person who constantly questioned their worth is changing. The person who lived under the weight of confusion is changing. And that change is preparing you for what comes next. My child, there is a hidden blessing already moving toward you. A blessing that does not depend on the people who opposed you. A blessing that does not depend on the people who misunderstood you. A blessing that does not depend on the people who spoke against you. Because the blessings I prepare are not controlled by human opinions. They are guided by my purpose. And my purpose is moving forward. Even now, while you wait, while you wonder, while you continue asking questions. I am working. I am arranging. I am preparing. I am opening doors you cannot yet see. My child, there were moments when you thought the story was falling apart. Moments when nothing made sense. Moments when disappointment seemed stronger than hope. Moments when confusion seemed stronger than clarity. But what appeared to be chaos was often preparation. What appeared to be delay was often protection. What appeared to be loss was often redirection. And now, as the truth becomes clearer, you are beginning to understand. The closed doors protected you. The distance protected you. The delays protected you. The disappointments protected you. Because not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Sometimes it is a rescue. Sometimes it is a release. Sometimes it is my hand removing obstacles that would have harmed your future. My child, there are people who thought exposure would never happen. They believed their actions would remain hidden. They believed their motives would never be noticed. They believed the confusion would continue forever. But the problem with darkness is that it cannot survive when light arrives. And my light is arriving. Slowly, steadily, powerfully. The truth is becoming visible. The patterns are becoming obvious. The lessons are becoming clear. And soon you will see things that once seemed impossible to understand. My child, do not become distracted by the exposure itself. Many people become trapped there. They become obsessed with the details. Obsessed with the betrayal. Obsessed with what happened. Obsessed with who said what. And while they remain focused on the past, they miss the future standing in front of them. Do not make that mistake. Learn the lesson. Accept the truth. Gain the wisdom. Then continue moving forward. Because your future is too valuable to be sacrificed to old pain. Your purpose is too important to be delayed by old disappointments. And your calling is too great to be controlled by yesterday's wounds. My child, there is restoration coming. Not necessarily the restoration you expected. Not necessarily every relationship returning. Not necessarily every situation reversing. But something deeper. Something stronger. The restoration of peace. The restoration of confidence. The restoration of trust in your own discernment. The restoration of hope. The restoration of joy. And those restorations are often more valuable than anything material. Because when peace returns, everything feels different. When confidence returns, opportunities look different. When joy returns, the future feels different. When hope returns, life begins opening up again. My child, the greatest victory is not proving people wrong. The greatest victory is continuing to grow despite what happened. Continuing to love despite disappointment. Continuing to trust despite betrayal. Continuing to hope despite delays. Continuing to move forward despite obstacles. That is true strength. And that strength is growing within you now. My child, there is a day coming when you will look back at this chapter and smile. Not because it was easy, not because it was painless, but because you will see what it produced. You will see the wisdom. You will see the growth. You will see the discernment. You will see the maturity. You will see the strength. And you will realize that what seemed like a difficult season was actually preparing you for one of the most important chapters of your life. My child, what they did behind your back will be exposed. But exposure is only part of the story. The greater part of the story is what happens afterward. The healing, the growth, the breakthrough, the restoration, the peace, the future. And my child, that future is already drawing near. Trust me, the breakthrough is closer than you think. The blessing is closer than you realize. And the chapter ahead will be stronger because of everything you have learned along the way. My child, the season of confusion is coming to an end. For so long, you have been carrying questions. Questions about people. Questions about situations. Questions about doors that closed without warning. Questions about relationships that suddenly changed. Questions about opportunities that seemed to disappear for no reason. And through it all, you kept asking, why? Why did this happen? Why did they do that? Why did things change? Why did I have to go through this? My child, the answer is becoming clearer now. Because what looked like a season of loss was actually a season of separation. I was separating you from what could not go where I was taking you. I was separating you from voices that created confusion. I was separating you from influences that weakened your confidence. I was separating you from connections that no longer aligned with your future. And although separation can feel painful, it often creates room for restoration. My child, there is a reversal taking place. The very things that seem to work against you are becoming part of your testimony. The very disappointments that hurt you are becoming sources of wisdom. The very struggles that challenged you are becoming evidence of your strength. The very situations that once brought tears are becoming proof of how far you have come. Because I never waste pain. I never waste lessons. I never waste seasons. Everything can be used for growth when placed in my hands. My child, there were people who believed they understood your future. They believed they knew how your story would end. They looked at your struggles and assumed defeat. They looked at your delays and assumed failure. They looked at your difficulties and assumed weakness. But they were looking at a chapter. I was looking at the conclusion. And the conclusion is very different from what they expected. Because while they focused on your present circumstances, I was building your future. While they focused on what was missing, I focused on what was possible. While they focused on your obstacles, I focused on your purpose. And purpose always survives obstacles. My child, there is a blessing ahead that some people never expected you to receive. Not because they hated you, not because they wanted to see you fail, but because they underestimated what I could do in your life. They underestimated your resilience. They underestimated your determination. They underestimated your growth. And most importantly, they underestimated me. They assumed the setback was permanent. They assumed the delay was final. They assumed the disappointment was the end. But I was only writing another chapter. And that chapter is leading somewhere beautiful. My child, one of the greatest forms of restoration is not getting back what you lost. It is receiving something better than what you lost. Sometimes people pray for old doors to reopen, while I am preparing entirely new doors. Sometimes people pray for old situations to return, while I am preparing healthier situations. Sometimes people pray for old opportunities to come back, while I am creating greater opportunities. That is why you must trust me even when you do not understand my timing. Because my vision extends beyond what you can currently see. My child, stop believing that your best days are behind you. They are not. Stop believing that the greatest opportunities have already passed. They have not. Stop believing that one difficult season defines the rest of your life. It does not. You still have chapters to write, dreams to pursue, lessons to share, people to impact, blessings to receive, and purposes to fulfill. Your story is still unfolding. My child, the exposure happening now is not designed to keep you focused on the past. It is designed to free you from the past. There is a difference. One keeps you trapped. The other moves you forward. And I am calling you forward. Forward into greater peace. Forward into greater wisdom. Forward into greater confidence. Forward into greater purpose. Forward into the future I have been preparing all along. My child, there will come a day when you no longer need answers from everyone. You will no longer need explanations from everyone. You will no longer need apologies from everyone. Because peace will replace the need for explanation. Wisdom will replace the need for validation. Purpose will replace the need for approval. And freedom will replace the need for closure. That day is closer than you realize. My child, what they did behind your back will be exposed. But exposure is not the final victory. The final victory is the person you are becoming. Stronger, wiser, more discerning, more confident, more peaceful, more prepared. And that person is ready for what comes next. Trust me, the reversal is happening. The restoration is beginning. The blessing is moving closer. And what I have prepared for you is greater than anything this season tried to take away. My child, if you have come this far with me, then listen carefully. Because what I am about to reveal is the truth beneath every other truth. The truth behind the betrayal. The truth behind the disappointment. The truth behind the confusion. The truth behind the delays. The truth behind the exposure. And when you understand this, your perspective will change forever. My child, the greatest secret was never what they said about you. The greatest secret was what I was doing within you while they were talking about you. While they were discussing your name, I was developing your character. While they were questioning your future, I was preparing your future. While they were doubting your abilities, I was strengthening your abilities. While they were creating obstacles, I was creating opportunities. While they were focusing on your present, I was preparing your next chapter. My child, that is why the story does not end where they thought it would end. Because they were watching the surface. I was working at the roots. And when roots grow deep, storms lose their power. My child, there were moments when you felt forgotten. Moments when it seemed as though everyone else was moving forward while you remained stuck. Moments when you wondered if your prayers were reaching heaven. Moments when silence felt louder than answers. Moments when disappointment felt stronger than hope. But even then, I was working. Even then, I was moving pieces into place. Even then, I was opening doors you could not yet see. Even then, I was protecting you from things you did not understand. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. Nothing escaped my attention. My child, one day you will look back and realize that the delays saved you. The closed doors saved you. The unanswered prayers saved you. The disappointments saved you. Because had everything happened according to your original plan, you might have settled for less than what I intended. You might have accepted relationships that were not healthy. You might have entered opportunities that were not aligned with your purpose. You might have missed the greater future I was preparing. That is why my timing matters. That is why patience matters. That is why trust matters. Because I see what you cannot see. My child, there is a breakthrough waiting ahead. Not a small breakthrough. A significant one. A breakthrough in understanding. A breakthrough in confidence. A breakthrough in peace. A breakthrough in purpose. Because the moment you stop looking backward, you create room to move forward. And forward is where your blessing is. Forward is where your growth is. Forward is where your purpose is. Forward is where your future is. My child, many people spend years waiting for revenge. Years waiting for justice. Years waiting for apologies. Years waiting for people to admit they were wrong. And while they wait, life passes by. Do not make that mistake. You do not need everyone's apology to heal. You do not need everyone's approval to succeed. You do not need everyone's understanding to move forward. You only need the wisdom to recognize that your future is more valuable than your past. And that wisdom is growing within you now. My child, there is a blessing approaching that no one can stop. No hidden conversation can stop it. No criticism can stop it. No misunderstanding can stop it. No jealousy can stop it. Because what I have prepared for you belongs to the season ahead, not the season behind. And seasons always change. The season of confusion changes into clarity. The season of pain changes into healing. The season of struggle changes into growth. The season of waiting changes into movement. The season of uncertainty changes into understanding. And your season is changing. Even now, my child, the exposure you have been seeking is not merely about discovering what happened. It is about discovering who you have become. Look at yourself. You are stronger now, wiser now, more discerning now, more resilient now, more aware now, more prepared now. The person who began this journey is not the person reading these words today. You have changed. You have grown. You have matured. And that growth is one of the greatest miracles of all. My child, never allow what happened behind your back to define what stands before you. Do not let yesterday steal tomorrow. Do not let old wounds steal new opportunities. Do not let disappointment steal hope. Do not let betrayal steal your ability to trust wisely. Because the future still holds beautiful things. New beginnings, new opportunities, new relationships, new blessings, new victories, new peace. And those things are already moving toward you. My child, what they did behind your back will be exposed. But exposure is not the end of the story. It is simply the closing of one chapter and the opening of another. A chapter filled with wisdom, a chapter filled with confidence, a chapter filled with peace, a chapter filled with purpose, a chapter filled with blessings that could only arrive after everything you have learned. Trust me, the story is not over. The breakthrough is closer than you think. The blessing is closer than you realize. And the best chapter of your life may be about to begin. My child, before this message comes to an end, I want you to sit with me for a moment. Not with your fears, not with your questions, not with your disappointments, just with me. Because there is one final truth I want you to carry into the next chapter of your life. A truth that can change the way you see everything that happened. My child, what they did behind your back was real. The hurt was real. The confusion was real. The disappointment was real. The tears were real. The sleepless nights were real. The moments of self-doubt were real. The questions that filled your mind were real. I saw every one of them. I saw every tear that nobody else noticed. I heard every prayer that nobody else heard. I understood every emotion that you struggled to explain. You were never invisible to me. Not once. Even when you felt forgotten by others. Even when you felt abandoned. Even when you felt misunderstood. Even when it seemed like nobody knew what you were carrying. I knew. I always knew. And I never stopped walking beside you. My child, many people spend years asking, why did this happen to me? But the better question is, what did this season teach me? Because when you focus only on the pain, you miss the lesson. When you focus only on the betrayal, you miss the wisdom. When you focus only on the loss, you miss the growth. And my child, there has been so much growth. Look at how far you have come. You survived things you once believed would destroy you. You made it through seasons you thought would never end. You carried burdens you never imagined you could carry. And somehow, despite everything, you are still here. Still standing. Still believing. Still hoping. Still moving forward. That is not weakness. That is strength. That is resilience. That is evidence of my hand upon your life. My child, the people who spoke behind your back thought they were influencing your story. But they never controlled your story. They only occupied a few pages. I am the author. I write the chapters. I determine the direction. And I am not finished writing yet. There are chapters ahead that they know nothing about. Blessings ahead they cannot imagine. Opportunities ahead they cannot predict. Breakthroughs ahead they cannot stop. Because what I have prepared for you does not depend upon their approval. It depends upon my purpose. And my purpose never fails. My child, one day you will look back at this chapter with different eyes. You will no longer see only the pain. You will see the protection. You will no longer see only the disappointment. You will see the preparation. You will no longer see only the delay. You will see the wisdom that came from waiting. You will no longer see only the people who left. You will see the space that was created for better people to arrive. And suddenly everything that once felt unfair will begin to make sense. Not because the pain was good, but because I brought good from it. That is what I do. I bring light into darkness. I bring healing into broken places. I bring purpose out of pain. I bring beauty from ashes. And I am doing that in your life. Right now, even if you cannot see all of it yet. My child, release the need to know every detail. Release the need to understand every motive. Release the need to hear every conversation. Release the need to receive every apology. Some answers will come. Some explanations will arrive. Some truths will be revealed. But complete healing does not depend on having all the answers. Complete healing comes when you trust me with the answers you do not have. Trust me with the questions. Trust me with the unfinished pieces. Trust me with the things that still do not make sense. Because I see the whole picture. And I am leading you toward peace. My child, there is restoration ahead. Not necessarily a return to what was, but something better. A stronger faith. A wiser heart. A clearer mind. Healthier relationships. Greater discernment. Deeper peace. A future built upon truth instead of confusion. A future built upon wisdom instead of fear. A future built upon purpose instead of approval. That future is waiting for you. Do not stay trapped in yesterday. Do not keep living in chapters that have already ended. Do not continue carrying burdens that I never asked you to carry. Lay them down. Give them to me. The hurt, the disappointment, the betrayal, the confusion, the questions, the fears. Lay them down, because where I am taking you, those burdens are too heavy to bring along. My child, hear me clearly. Your life is not defined by who talked about you. Your life is not defined by who left you. Your life is not defined by who doubted you. Your life is not defined by who misunderstood you. Your life is defined by who you are becoming. And you are becoming stronger. You are becoming wiser. You are becoming more confident. You are becoming more discerning. You are becoming more prepared. And that transformation is worth more than you realize. My child, they thought you would never find this out. They thought the truth would remain hidden. They thought confusion would last forever. But truth has arrived. Wisdom has arrived. Understanding has arrived. And now it is time for something new. It is time to step forward. Time to stop looking behind you. Time to stop reliving old pain. Time to stop questioning your worth. Time to stop allowing the past to control your future. Because your future is calling. And it is brighter than you think. The best chapter has not been lost. The best chapter has not been canceled. The best chapter has not been forgotten. The best chapter is still ahead. Underscore. Lord Jesus, thank you for carrying me through every difficult season. Thank you for the lessons, the protection, the wisdom, and the strength you have developed within me. Help me release every burden I was never meant to carry. Heal every wound that still hurts. Give me peace where confusion once lived. Give me courage where fear once lived. Give me hope where disappointment once lived. I trust you with my future, my purpose, and every unanswered question. Lead me forward into the life you have prepared for me. Amen. If this message touched your heart, comment, Jesus, I trust your plan, your timing, and my future.